going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope you are having a great Sunday morning. In this video, we're going to break down the severe weather threat across the Mid-South. I'm talking Texas, Arkansas, areas of Louisiana, basically the same entire area that got hit by the winter storm a couple weeks ago. So that entire area from Dallas to Memphis, tornado threat for sure. And we're going to break all that down. We're going to step away from talking about the system for next weekend that I've been talking about in my last few videos. I'm going to give y'all an update once I see all the model runs for the day, and we can things have definitely trended another way overnight, so we're going to break all that down later tonight, so stay tuned for an evening video. But we're going to break down this because this has the potential to be really a tornado threat for areas of the country. So we're going to get going on this. If you have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. It's much appreciated. Awesome way to support me and what I do here, and I just love talking weather with you guys. So let's get going with this. So bear with me here. So basically what we have here is the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center. So you have 5 levels. You have basically level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. You have marginal, slight, and then it goes to enhanced, and then it goes to moderate, and then it goes to high risk. So we have a slight risk, which is level 2 out of 5. Now, I know that doesn't sound I guess intimidating or scary or anything, but I've seen some crazy severe weather in a slight risk, even in a marginal risk. So this is a very large area of a slight risk, ranging from almost Dallas all the way through up to Nashville to Bowling Green, Kentucky. So this is the most dangerous part of this. You have a 5% chance in this gigantic area right here to see a tornado. 5% chance, yeah, that doesn't sound that bad, but the area that it's in, they're opening the possibility of such a large area. You know, Shreveport's in this, Little Rock, Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. This is going to be kind of a setup where you have potential for supercells earlier on before this really comes together into, I guess you can say, a squall line, or just maybe a line of severe thunderstorms that turns mainly into a wind threat as it gets deeper into western areas of Tennessee. So we're going to break this down. We're going to be looking all at the HRRR model run, which is a decent model to look at once you get in range of a severe weather threat. But this is a pretty big deal. Look at the wind threat, 15% chance of wind damage. So there is going to be 2 elements of this. Like I just said, there's going to be basically what forms ahead of the storm, which will be rotating storms, which is a supercell, and then there's going to be a line of storms, a linear. The whole entire complex is going to go linear, which means it turns into a line of storms basically. So here you go, and here it gets cranking here. Say early afternoon here in Texas. There's going to be a small area here in far northeast Texas. It's going to have a time frame from late morning to very early afternoon. And then it's going to shift to Arkansas, and Arkansas is going to start to get the main attention here. Now, you look at these little cells right here. They don't look very intimidating, very hard to see, but these things could produce very short-lived tornadoes. And then it kind of begins. You got a cold front coming out west, and it turns into more of a linear threat, more just a line of storms here. And it gets cranking, but there can be spin-ups in this line of storms, which are very dangerous setup, guys. When you have a line of storms and you have embedded spin-ups in these, they can come up out of nowhere. They can be rain-wrapped. They can be very quick and do a lot of damage very quickly. So this is going to be, you know, it's not a super dangerous setup, but it might catch some people by surprise, as really this severe weather threat has been elevated a little bit more over the last 24 hours. But here it comes. And you have just these little hooks right here, like this cell looks interesting. And you have these little small cells ahead of this main line. This main line will be mainly a severe, big wind producer. One thing I'm not going to talk about this in video is really a lot of rain that's going to fall in this area. So we're really going to get going here. Sorry about that, guys. I had to briefly pause the video to help my daughter get some paper. But here we go. You know, the storm is a very complex storm. You know, you're going to have 2 elements of it, so it's going to be interesting to watch. Now, we get into the HRRR model. We're going to zoom in on Arkansas and then kind of sections around it. So here you go. You got little small cells popping up as we get into the afternoon hours, early morning, late morning hours of today. And you just have little cells, and we have to watch these little cells right here. They can produce short-lived tornadoes, and before basically it comes together as more of a complex line. But even in here, you can get little spin-ups as we get later into Sunday afternoon and evening. And you have to just watch out for this line too. There's two components to this. There's the rotating storms ahead of it, and even if you look closely in here, it has these little storms right here. It has like a hook element to it. So that tells me that they're definitely going to be rotating in nature. So it's definitely something we need to watch out for. And then it gets going here. We look for this. We look for CAPE in these setups. Even with a little bit of CAPE, it can really help add the extra juice, the energy for our tornado situation here. And this is actually some pretty high and decent CAPE coming out of Texas. You got over 2,000 in CAPE here, surface-based CAPE here. So, you know, it gets pretty high. Notice the sharp cutoff. That's because you have a cold front. You have another air mass coming in that has no severe weather element to it at all. So this is some pretty decent CAPE for this area to add fuel to this system, and it really gets elevated, you know, along the line that forms. That's why you have to watch out for some, definitely some spin-ups along this line. You look at the significant tornado parameter, and it really gets elevated right here. But, you know, it's nothing too crazy, but it's still a 2 to a 3 to a potentially a 4 out of 10. And this is what a lot of people look at when we're trying to look at how severe the tornado threat's going to be. So it definitely is heightened during this event. So you look at the basically the updraft helicity swath. So basically where a rotating storm could be, and check it out as we get into this afternoon. This is really, you know, pretty significant around this area. Central Arkansas is really an area we have to watch out for. This is basically where a rotating storm can go over. It's trying to predict where rotation will be with these storms, but we all know that that's very hard to do. But you know, you look and get a little bit further out east into Tennessee, and here's the storm complex. And once you get into Tennessee, you know, there's still a tornado threat for sure, definitely. But once you get into central to eastern areas of Tennessee, I really think that it turns more into a line of storms with embedded spin-ups in it. So it's definitely the area we have to watch here for definitely more so of damaging winds. But you look at the CAPE, it gets elevated here briefly here in Tennessee, and then it kind of starts to go away as you lose some of the daytime heating. Significant parameter for this area. It gets heightened briefly, and then it kind of goes back down here. We get into this, so you know, same thing. Updraft, basically where you're going to see rotation here, and this is basically showing it along the line of storms. So this is honestly, Tennessee could be more of a dangerous situation than Arkansas, just because you're going to get embedded spin-ups and a line of storms, which I can't stress enough. That can be a very dangerous situation because you don't really see it coming in a lot of situations. It's embedded in rain. It could get tricky. That's what I'm trying to say. But as far as strong winds, this is basically max wind gust potential. It really shows what I've been saying here. Once this squall line, if you will, I wouldn't call it a squall line, but just a line of intense thunderstorms, it gets linear and just starts to really consolidate into more of a line. You get more of a straight line wind gust scenario, and you can see that in Kentucky and Tennessee. And so it's definitely going to turn into a big-time wind threat, especially for Tennessee. So we have to watch out for that. Another element in this is dew points. Dew points are big. The humidity it adds juice to the atmosphere. Look how high the dew points get ahead of this system as you have an approaching cold front that obviously is a totally different air mass, dry air. So humidity spikes when you get. I mean, it's natural when you get a lot of humidity in the day. Even in the summer here in the South, you know, you could have a 10% chance of a thunderstorm, but just of daytime heating and how juiced up the atmosphere is, you can just get a pop-up thunderstorm out of nowhere. CAPE, you know, it's there. That's just part of part of an element to fuel to a thunderstorm. So there's going to be plenty of humidity. Dew points are going to be high. It's going to be there. So before the air mass kicks in, behind this line of storms, you have a much drier air mass that kicks in. So here in the hole, this is a supercell composite parameter. A supercell is a rotating thunderstorm. So if you have a rotating thunderstorm, you have a chance at a tornado. And it is actually, it's gets very high over areas of central to southeastern Arkansas for supercell development. So that supercells are nothing to play with. So we need to watch out here today, guys. Definitely a severe weather threat that can unfold for areas of the Mid-South. Other areas of the South, like here in the Carolinas, we're going to get into the low to mid 80s. So it's going to be a beautiful day. No storms expected really here, but we need to keep our eyes out in the Midwest. But thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great day.